Have you ever wondered why bees sacrifice their lives after just one sting? It seems like such a strange strategy for survival, right? In today's video, we're diving deep into one of nature's most intriguing mysteries: why do bees die after stinging? But hold on, before we get into the science, imagine this: you're out in your garden, enjoying a sunny afternoon, when suddenly, a bee buzzes around you. Instinctively, you freeze. You know that if it stings you, it's game over for the bee. But why is that? Why would such a vital creature have such a self-destructive defense mechanism? Stick around, because we're about to unravel this mystery with some surprising facts that will change the way you think about these incredible insects forever. Plus, we've got some jaw-dropping insights into how this tiny act of self-sacrifice plays a crucial role in the survival of their colonies. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. In Brazil, special hybrid bees were developed in 1957. Although increased honey production was anticipated by scientists, something went wrong with these bees. The insects proved to be quite hostile, attacking anyone they came across. The killer bees had made their way to America by the 1980s. They are still spreading over the world now, and it is uncannily similar to a horror film. You will therefore discover what happens to a person who is stung by this bug in today's video. It may sound unbelievable, but a bee has the power to end your life. Do bees that sting humans actually die? Let's investigate. That means a bee stung you. You're probably not overly pleased about it. Your initial response is generally one of pain. However, let's examine the sting. It will get somewhat red on the skin in about 2 minutes. The region surrounding the sting will become white after 6 minutes, and a blister will show up in about 30 minutes. Since bee venom affects all vertebrates severely, the discomfort will only worsen. The wound will become quite red and very itchy after a day. The primary ingredient and primary cause of discomfort in honeybee venom is melittin. Thankfully, your body can combat it if you don't have any allergies. However, it's all over if you have an allergy. More on bee venom will come later, but for now, let's examine the reasons behind this behavior. How come a bee can sting at all, in your opinion? Scientists have theories and conjectures. Perhaps it's some sort of bee radar. According to studies, when people threaten the safety of their colony, bees will most likely attack them. You will be fortunate if you escape a bee's territory with only one sting. A bee generates an alarm pheromone when it strikes another animal. The bee releases more of it if it is subsequently fatally injured. What happens next, can you guess? Massive amounts of warning pheromones surrounding the hive draw additional bees, who will then be prepared to attack any intruder. You will have no choice but to flee or perish as long as this persists until the threat is removed. Recall that once you emerge on the water's surface, the bees will continue to assault you because the pheromones are not removed by water. These pheromones, incidentally, are said to smell like bananas. Who would have guessed that bees weren't fond of bananas? We should probably convey the sensation of a bee sting for people who have never experienced one. You know, the one who was screaming. It is thought that being stung by a bee hurts like having your earlobe pinched. You can give it a try now, but exercise caution. In actuality, honeybees are at pain level 2 on the Schmidt scale, a comprehensive pain index. Only the second tier. Compared to other insects, their sting actually doesn't hurt all that much. It's not even close to level 4 pain, which would be the bite from a bullet ant, for example. Schmidt compared these feelings like walking over blazing charcoal with a 3-inch nail implanted in your heel: pure, acute, brilliant pain. Now, let's try not to pass judgment just because we don't know how a reputable scientist can tell how hot charcoal feels under a nail in his heel. He must be working in the interest of science. A 4th-level bite can also be described as torturous, blinding, furious, and brutally electric, like being chained within an erupting volcano. It simply shuts you off and is incredibly crippling and painful. Just pure, unadulterated agony. It should be noted that the author of this list has personally been bitten by more than 1,000 different insects throughout his lifetime. It was probably excruciatingly painful. Tell my pinky toe about that, please, it's unbelievable. But let's get back to bees. You are undoubtedly aware that a bee can die from a sting. It dies after losing its stinger. It may be said that, like a true knight, it sacrifices its life to defend the hive. Then why do bees perish? The stinger's form is to fault. Its barbed design causes it to become lodged in the skin of the victim, particularly in the case of a mammal. After the sting, the insect is unable to escape. It jerks and part of its tiny organism, including muscles, nerves, and a piece of its digestive tract, leaves the sting. Death arrives in a matter of minutes after this. The only animals that can sting indefinitely without breaking apart are queens. Because of the smoother shape of their stingers, these bees may deliver multiple toxic stabs even in a row. Thus, avoid upsetting the queen. When a bee attacks another bug, what happens? Naturally, bee stings aren't meant to defend the insects from humans. If they were, the stinger would be more advantageously attached to the bee. They have stings that are perfect for battling other insects. A bee's venom is an extremely potent weapon, and it can bite other insects hundreds of times a day until it grows weary or bored. However, it's not their exclusive armament. Some bees have mastered the art of cooking their rivals. That's not a rhetorical device. Here, insects gather into a sphere around a hornet and begin to vibrate in unison, producing strong ultrasonic vibrations. According to researchers, in this instance, the swarm's inside air eventually warms to a temperature of roughly 40 degrees Celsius. Needless to say, the hornet eventually perishes from lack of resistance to the heat. Although it's an extremely terrible method of killing, the bees have good cause for acting in this way. Examine the image here. Hundreds of dead bees with no heads. The results of a hornet attack on a beehive are as follows. Indeed, nature can be really harsh. Luckily, the heat attack is limited to hornets at this time. It would prefer not to go through it. Only bee venom affects humans, and our organisms have evolved to withstand it for a very long time. You can see how the temperature rises around the sting in this picture. This indicates that the poison is being fought off by our body. For such, we must be grateful to our immune system. Unfortunately, since most of the human body is composed of water, which bee venom dissolves in, the toxins spread very quickly. You're now 0.01% of a bee, whoosh. The first cells to combat bee venom are white blood cells. They resemble a quick response team. Even though your white blood cells are already battling the antigens in the bee venom, you're still yelling and cursing. The temperature and redness will continue to rise as the conflict goes on. The bee injects some melittin into your body when it stings. It kills red blood cells and activates pain receptors while the white blood cells are occupied. The itching is likewise caused by melittin, but your body is capable of responding appropriately. It combats the melittin by sending histamine, an organic substance that works like a SWAT team to combat various illnesses. But it also results in edema. However, we don't really say anything when superheroes save humanity by destroying entire cities, do we? The most astounding discovery, though, is that our kidneys are used to combat bee venom. Even if the bee stings your pinky toe, the kidneys will begin to function to remove the damaged tissue as soon as the venom begins to harm your body's cellular structure. Thus, they are cognizant of the events, like to a task force. But don't let your kidneys concern you. A bee may sting you in the kidney, or they could sting you numerous times before failing. Rarely, a sting may trigger a physiological overreaction that results in death. According to a University of Melbourne study, in the previous 13 years, bee stings have killed 25 individuals in Australia. In the same period, snake bites have claimed the lives of 27 individuals. Nevertheless, we tend to ignore bees and just brush them aside, both literally and symbolically, while being terrified of snakes. However, it's a fact that bees are our buddies. These small workers do a multitude of helpful tasks for us. Are you familiar with bee therapy? Warning, this may be shocking to some because, well, people let bees sting them all the time. Naturally, not for fun. Bee venom aids in combating the signs and symptoms of Lyme disease, a condition spread by ticks. Certain medications are available for this, but they are not inexpensive. Simultaneously, you may quickly acquire real bees online, and their frequent stings will help you get rid of the symptoms. The bees' inability to withstand the procedure is the only negative. Must they perish for our well-being? Leave a comment with your thoughts. This old man went one step further than the others who order bees online. He rose to become the bee lord and dresses like one. By the way, the bees are still alive. It seems that Bee-Man attracts these insects with unique pheromones. A fed bee is less likely to harm you, therefore he feeds his scary friends first. But what happens if 30 or 40 of these bees feel threatened and start acting erratically? He won't live, most certainly. But beekeepers always run the risk of dying, particularly while searching for rare varieties of honey that are exclusive to Nepal. The most courageous men from the nearby villages risk their lives twice a year to ascend the region's sheer cliffs. The hives of unique wild bees called Apis dorsata laboriosa are located here. Its nectar contains psychedelic effects, and it is the largest species of honeybee in the world. We now understand why Winnie the Pooh is constantly content. Although the honey is thought to have strong medicinal qualities by the locals, you shouldn't consume too much of it as you are probably aware of how hallucinogens operate. Now picture eating this unusual honey and then seeing bees winking at you out of the blue. Alright, that final spoon was definitely excessive. We should all get home now. But look around while you're still here. These microscopic organisms have an odd ability to establish colonies and frighten off predators. Like spectators at a football stadium, they form a wave. These bees are something we would definitely avoid if we were predators. What if their preferred team didn't win today? What if they won, or even worse? Not only is the human body incredible, but so are bees. However, you ought to avoid them. Give us a like instead. We can be useful too, unlike bees, and we don't bite. Hey, have I told you about the healing subscription to our channel?